and welcome back to another exciting edition of the TNA Impact Wrestling Review for May 29th, 2014. I am, of course, your host, the Wizard 411, and I'm here to pretty much recap the show, everything that went on today. And I have to say, tonight's episode was pretty good. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up, two thumbs up actually, versus last week when it was a thumbs down kind of show. Now, the reason I'm gonna actually give it that rating is because this Impact actually did a lot of things right that they tend to normally not do on a weekly basis. But I digress. Let me start at the beginning. So our show opens up with Bully Ray, of all people, coming out, cutting an epic promo, of course, with a legion of tables lined up behind him, each one with the name of the person who he's going to end up putting through. They were all wrapped up in these like sheets, of course, and he was bringing them down one by one, just yanking them, kind of letting us know, hey, you know what, you're next. So pretty much the names were MVP, Bobby Lashley, Kenny King, EC3, Rockstar Spud, and of course Dixie Carter, the one woman that every wrestling fan in the world wants to see put through a table, which Bully Ray continuously emphasizes. But it's true because I kind of want to see it too. But anyway, as Bully is pretty much letting us know what's going down, MVP comes out with his group Money, Power, Respect, and they end up, of course, jumping Bully Ray like they always do. Well, they actually didn't start it. EC3 actually came from behind and chopped Bully Ray on his knee, and then that's when everyone came and started jumping him, which led to Austin Aries and the Wolves, of all people, coming out to save Bully Ray. And after that happened, that leads to our first match, which was actually a triple tag team match, which consisted of the Wolves and Austin Aries versus Money, Power, Respect. Now, this was actually a good way to open the show. I personally would have put that as like the main event, but they had something else in store for the main event, which I'll get to in a little while. So this match kicks off, and it was actually a pretty good match. There was a lot of back and forth action. This is a classic example of good TNA wrestling. You got somebody like Austin Aries, who's just awesome. He always brings like 100% energy into the ring. Every time he fights, he just gives you a great match. Then, of course, you had a good showing by Money, Power, Respect, and the Wolves as well. This match is actually going to go to Money, Power, Respect. MVP wins via a boot to the face, allowing him to get the win. Clean, by the way, clean. There was no shenanigans. There was no crazy interference from like 6 to like 10 different wrestlers. It was just a clean fought match, which was won by Money, Power, Respect. So that pretty much set the pace of the show, which was pretty good. So, we're going to move on from that. After that, we have a backstage segment with Bram and Magnus, a very short one. Bram pretty much telling him that he has a match tonight, and he's going to show him what he's got and what Magnus is sorely lacking at the moment, which is intensity. So after that happens, before the match actually starts, we have a short promo in the back, well, not promo, segment with EC3 and Dixie Carter. EC3 pretty much telling his auntie that she's in trouble and that they should be getting out of the building. Oh, I also forgot to mention before I continue with the rest of the show, Bully Ray did powerbomb Rockstar Spud through a table after he was saved by Aries and the Wolves, which is pretty neat. We haven't seen a bully bomb from the top rope in a long time. Can't believe I forgot to mention that. But anyway, moving on to the rest of the show. We have our second match after the commercial break had ended, which was Tigre Uno versus Bram. So this is Bram's first or second match. I'm not quite sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's his actual like first singles match in TNA. He's of course accompanied by Magnus. It was pretty much a squash match. I kind of feel bad because they pretty much just G Tigre Uno. They didn't really, he had a decent little showing, but at the end, Bram proved to be too powerful for him. After Bram gets the victory, Magnus confronts him, telling him that even though Tigre Uno is a world-class athlete, you pretty much beat somebody half your size, and why don't you pick on somebody your own size? So he was kind of alluding towards the fact that he wanted to face him, but, that was just a tease, because he actually ended up saying, why don't you fight Willow next week? Bram, of course, being excited of the opportunity to once again show Magnus that he is superior. Accepts the challenge. So I'm guessing at some point, maybe after the Willow and Bram feud is over, because that's what's going to end up happening, we're going to actually get a Magnus versus Bram, because that's what it's all building up towards. So pretty much, like I said, Bram gets victory. After that happens, we have a backstage segment with Gunner and Mr. Anderson, talking about Samuel Shaw and how he's insane and how Gunner shouldn't be talking to him. And Gunner tells Anderson, "Hey, you know what? He just needs somebody to talk to. Come on, give him a break. You know, you're the one that had him committed." Anderson then tells him he's just a crazy guy that lives in his mom's house, which I do think that TNA really dropped the ball on this one because initially when they were promoting Samuel Shaw, he actually had this huge, like, extravagant apartment that he was showing Christy Hemme the apartment. She was like taking a tour around it, and that's when we ended up finding out later on that he was obsessed with her after we found the shrine. So for them to just go into him living in his mom's basement, that's kind of them dropping the ball there. They weren't very they didn't do a good job with that. Moving on after that, we actually have a backstage segment with Brittany talking to Madison Rayne, telling her that she has a match against the beautiful people tonight. And before she gets to even tell her about her partner, Madison Rayne gives her the advice to tell her, hey, you know what? Don't get mixed up with these people. They're really bad, and they're just gonna end up embarrassing you. I think you should call the match off. Reluctant, Brittany just kind of walks away, and that was the end of that segment. Um, After that, we actually have our third match, which was the Bromans versus Gunner and Mr. Anderson. Decent match, decent showing from the Bromans. Of course, they were accompanied by DJ Zima Ion, and he was distracting Anderson and Gunner throughout the whole match. However, they still gained the upper hand, and Gunner and Anderson win via flying headbutt off of the top rope. You know, it was a short match, probably about like 5-6 minutes, give or take, but whatever, it happens. It was a decent match nonetheless. After they left, post match, the Menagerie actually show up, and they pretty much circle the Bromans. The Bromans are petrified. These guys are scared. I guess they have like a phobia of clowns or the circus and whatnot. But as the Menagerie starts like circling them, they're really scared and they're just like, hey, don't hurt us. Of course, you have the Freak standing there as their like top guy, like their tank. So they're really scared right now. And they actually offered DJ Zima Ion as their sacrificial lamb. They kind of just like threw him to the wolves, not the actual wolves, but these wolves in this case. And the Freak, which is actually just Rob Terry, ends up slamming DJ Zima Ion. Then they kind of like throw him outside to the ring to where the Bromans laid outside scared. So that was pretty cowardly of them. But anyway, moving on, we have another backstage segment where Brittany actually tries to acquire the help of Gail Kim in order to face the beautiful people tonight, which I think is interesting because early on, I recall Brittany telling Madison Rayne that she had a partner tonight and that she wanted her there at ringside. But then when she actually asked Gail Kim to be her partner, I'm thinking to myself, wait, so who are you planning to have join you if you didn't actually have a partner to begin with? What if Gail Kim had said no? But anyway, I'm not going to put too much thought into that. It's just something that I really thought of last minute. Anyway, Gail Kim, of course, agrees to help Brittany in her crusade against the beautiful people because they embarrassed her really badly last week and she wanted some retribution. So after that segment gets out of the way, we actually have Dixie Carter call out MVP, and pretty much she cuts a promo on him, telling him that she's threatening him and she's gonna let the board of directors know like what's been going on, how he's been abusing his power and whatnot. MVP, of course, not intimidated because he has his boy standing by him, and he's just like, hey, you know what? What are you gonna do? I have money, and I have a lot of money. I guess he couldn't really think of what to say other than the fact that he has money. He also alluded towards the fact that people respect him, and then the audience, of course, booed, which is the reaction he was hoping for. Also, letting us know that these guys are like full-blown heels. So even if he says a line like that, he's of course going to get booed. They're of course interrupted by Bully Ray and Eric Young. Eric Young sporting that pipe that Bully Ray had last week, and Bully Ray having his trademark chain. So they pretty much threatened to beat them all up. However, MVP ended up gaining the upper hand when he told them, hey, you know what? You guys are so eager to wrestle, how about you fight each other? And, if you don't, I'm going to fire you, Bully. And Bully Ray, of course, kept saying he's not going to fight Eric because that's his boy and he won't do that to him. Even though, several months ago he was aces and eights and he totally would have squashed Eric. But anyway, he is now a babyface, of course, so he didn't want to fight his friend, but they were forced into a situation that they couldn't really get away from. And Eric Young, being the fighting champion that he is, decided, hey, you know what? Let's do this, bully. Let's just fight. So they also said that they were gonna have EC3 as the special guest referee to make the match a little more interesting. So after that happens, they go away pretty much, and then we have a short video clip of Kurt Angle, pretty much recovering from his torn ACL injury. They were showing how he got taken out of action after his fight with EC3, how he's home recovering, and a very heartfelt statement by Angle telling us, thank you to all the fans for supporting me, and without your help and your kind words, I pretty much couldn't be able to go on. I wouldn't be able to. And me being probably the biggest Kurt Angle fan ever, I really felt that because I genuinely do want him to get back, but when he's ready to come back. And I don't want him to come back on a full-time basis. I kind of want him to do like a little part-time gig and have a couple of matches here and there and then call it a career. No use in injuring yourself anymore. You've done enough for the business. You're one of the greatest ever. But anyway, after we have that video of Kurt Angle, we get to our fourth match, which is the Beautiful People versus Brittany and Gail Kim. It was actually a pretty decent match. Brittany's inexperience really showed every time she had an opportunity to tag into Gail Kim, and she decided not to because she felt, hey, I got this under control. It's no worries. Beautiful People ended up being too much for her. She eventually does tag in Gail Kim, and Gail Kim starts gaining the upper hand. As she closes in towards a victory, Brittany actually tags herself in like, hey, you know what? I got this. I'm going to win. And she tries to do this move where she kind of like bounces, does like a front flip, bounces off of the ropes, and then does a back flip. However, she failed. Velvet Sky moved out of the way. And why referee Stifler, which I'm noticing he's in every single one of their matches, they need to really get that guy out of there and put another referee that's not going to, do that. That's not going to get distracted by them. Anyway, he gets distracted, allowing Angelina Love to come in and hit Brittany with the Botox injection. Once again, which is reminiscent to Sheamus's Broad Kick. But again, like I said last week, I saw her do it first. So I'm going to say that's her move. So she does that, allowing Velvet to gain the victory. After that, she just, was really feeling embarrassed, really feeling down. And she calls out Madison Rayne to the ring. Madison Rayne comes out after the match was over, and she pretty much told her, hey, you know what? I warned you. I told you you shouldn't have gotten involved. These people are crazy. We have this crazy history that only the three of us understands, and you possibly couldn't, know, so you shouldn't be getting involved in this. Afterwards, Brittany confesses that she actually likes Madison Rayne and she wants to be with her. Madison Rayne, of course, being weirded out by the situation, was like, whoa, like, you need to calm down, all right? It is not that serious. So, Brittany's feeling hurt, and she's kind of getting a little cuckoo bananas on her. After that, the Beautiful People come out and pretty much tell her, oh, you got your little heart broken. This is what happens when you mess with somebody like Madison Rayne. Trust me, we know because we taught her everything she knows. So, they were pretty much letting her know, hey, this is not the right person for you. I, for a second, thought that that Brittany was going to turn heel and just like beat up Madison Rayne for rejecting her. But that didn't happen at all. What ended up happening was that Madison Rayne cashed her rematch clause for the following Impact that's coming up next Thursday. So we're going to see that match happen. After that segment happens, we have a quick little backstage segment where Money, Power, Respect come out and confront EC3 as he's getting ready in the backstage locker room for the main event match. And they pretty much tell him, hey, EC3, we don't have a problem, do we? Because just because your auntie and I aren't getting along doesn't mean that we can't work together, or can't we? So EC3, obviously being intimidated by these three guys circling him, he's like, you know what? No, we don't have any problem. Let's just do this. Let's just do the thing. So we end up having our main event, which is Bully Ray versus Eric Young. So obviously, this match is going to go down really dirty. Before EC3 is even introduced, you have Kenny King come out and relieve Christy Hemming of her duties as the ring announcer for the evening. Kenny King then introduces Bully Ray and Eric Young. Before their match can start, he also introduces the special enforcer, which was none other than Bobby Lashley. After that, he also says, you know what, we need somebody to maintain the integrity of this match and make sure that things don't go out of hand. So he ends up telling MVP to come out. MVP comes out. So you have the entire heel faction of Money, Power, Respect circling the ring. EC3 then comes out to his theme music. Before he could even get in the ring, Bully Ray is reluctant to let him in, and he keeps swinging his chain around as to not let him in the ring. MVP pretty much tells him, hey, stop, let him do his job. He's the ref. Whatever, the match goes underway. Um, this really wasn't a decent main event only because there was so much interference. I don't think I've ever seen a bunch of heels just like sitting outside of the ring and then having the two baby faces go at it, and both baby faces are getting beat up during the match by the people outside. But anyway, that ends up happening. To make a long story short, Bully Ray gets upset. He kicks EC3 in the face, pretty much ending the match. After that, Money, Power, Respect go in and proceed to give them an ass whooping. After Bully and Young are getting beaten to a pulp, Samoa Joe's music plays and he comes running into the save. Samoa Joe, of course, he's been gone for a couple of months now, so we're like, hey, this is crazy. Joe's back. Awesome. So Joe comes, he cleans house, he beats the crap out of them, and then he does this monstrous like muscle buster on Kenny King. Like as soon as he like landed on the floor, Kenny King's back just like arched like really hard. Like he sold that move super well. So, you know, of course, now we have Samoa Joe that has returned to Impact Wrestling to aid Eric Young in his crusade against Money, Power, Respect. Still no Bobby Roode in sight. I want to know what's going on with Bobby Roode. Where is he? Is he going to come out? Is he going to help them? I mean, guys, let me know what's going on. You know, like, give me your thoughts on this. If you've liked this review, this is pretty much the end of my review. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, do the damn thing. You already know the deal. You can catch me at Twitter, which is at thewizard411. That is my handle. That is also my Instagram. So, you know, I really want to know your thoughts on this show. Did you like it? Did you think this was a thumbs up show, a thumbs down, maybe somewhere in the middle? You know what I mean? What is the future of Impact Wrestling? You know, as a whole, what do you think is going to go on? Is Bobby Roode going to come back to a system? What's going to happen? Only you know, or the wrestling gods of this world know what's going to happen. And the dirt sheets, which I'm trying to stay away from. I'm trying to kind of just rate the show as I go along. But anyway, you folks have been great. Once again, you can tune in for my next episode of TNA Impact, which will be the following Thursday. I will then give you another review on what's going on at that time. So once again, folks, if you didn't know, now you know. You guys are awesome, and don't ever let anyone tell you different.